Welcome to Revolution Report, the show that highlights pressing issues, uplifts community voices, and questions the status quo. I'm Sarah Livings-Walsh.
And I'm Analisa, Venolia.
We felt the need to dive deeper into societal problems and explore subjects from diverse perspectives. So join us in the revolution. This episode of Revolution Report, we're going to be talking about the dark money funding Democratic messaging on social media. We're also going to touch on the system wanting to stay the same, the two-party system and ranked choice voting.
Now, that may sound like a lot, but we promise it makes sense. Before we get into it, we just wanted to remind everyone to please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. We are a growing station, and it would really help us out.
We've got a lot to cover, so let's get into it. To kick us off, let's talk about the recent dark money and content creation scandal within the Democratic Party.
Now, what is dark money exactly? It certainly sounds like a scary thing.
Well, it is.
Yeah. Dark money is basically money that is spent to influence politics, whether that be elections, public policy, or political discourse that has no disclosed source.
Yeah.
The public has no idea who is actually giving that money.
Correct. Which certainly opens doors to people being able to push agendas without their name being attached to anything. Now, whether you are on the right or the left, that should be scary for everyone.
Agreed.
So there are lots of red flags there. Dark money is a serious issue in politics and has been for many, many years. We're going to be talking about a particular instance of dark money spending today.
Recently, Taylor Lorenz, an incredible independent journalist.
We love her.
We do indeed. She broke a story in Wired magazine about a dark money group paying content creators to spread the messaging of the Democratic Party.
Contracts were sent out to groups of influencers by an organization called Chorus. Chorus is a self-described creator-led nonprofit that is essentially an influencer marketing platform for supposed progressives.
Chorus is funded by a liberal dark money group, the 1630 Fund. And the 1630 Fund is a huge backer of the Democratic Party, giving over $400 million in 2020 alone to fund Democrat election efforts.
That's pretty scary. You don't know where that money is coming from. That could be from anyone. And again, not all money is good money.
Absolutely.
We're not saying that donating to elections is bad. We just don't think that dark money should have a place in politics.
Absolutely.
Transparency in huge donations should be a fundamental part of elections, no matter what political side you're on.
Agreed 100%. Now, Chorus, using the dark money from the 1630 Fund, offered select creators up to $8,000 per month to push Democratic Party talking points. For context, that is around $100,000 a year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And if that's not crazy enough and blatant propaganda, the contract Chorus offered these creators was incredibly restrictive. They couldn't ever disclose the fact that they were receiving this money, which is a huge problem. Influencers legally have to disclose if they're making an ad for a product, but for whatever reason, political influencers do not have to disclose if they're being paid to endorse a candidate or certain viewpoints. Absolutely nuts, and that needs to change. The contract also forbade them from talking poorly about any creator who also signed the contract and was receiving this money, as well as restricting the kinds of content these creators could produce. The creators couldn't even make content that supports or opposes a political candidate without running it by Chorus for approval.
That level of control is ridiculous. And what's also wild is that some of these creators who were offered the contract were told that they weren't even allowed to go over the contract with a lawyer. What kind of a rule is that?
Yeah.
Oh, here's a legally binding contract, but don't you dare consult any legal counsel before you sign it. Make it make sense.
Yeah. Not everyone offered the deal took it, but some people who weren't offered it applied to be a part of the program once they found out about it, like the creator at the Speech Pro 9. The program launched in July with around 90 content creators participating, including allegedly Aaron Parnas, Olivia Juliana, Lauren Pieretra, Susan Lambert, Ariel Fodder, David Pacman, and Lee McGowan.
Taking deals where you don't disclose that you're getting paid is bad journalism ethics, period.
Absolutely.
If you're presenting yourself as a trusted source of news and information, to not disclose that you're getting paid to push certain ideas is just straight up wrong. You're depriving your audience of all of the facts and why you might have a certain agenda.
Right. And listen, everyone has a bias. That is just human nature. In sociology and psychology, you're taught that. But the part of being a journalist is to confront that bias. That's how people are able to get necessary information, which could be life or death.
Yeah.
And so to have that journalistic ethics with you is so integral. And I don't think the space needs anything of the sort like that.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is just not okay. These content creators should be ashamed. And at Handball Court Radio, we would never do that.
Never.
We have turned down contracts, as we've stated before, and we will continue to state. We got offered a contract that would inherently suppress local news. And we refused to take it.
Yeah.
If we can do it, they can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We would never take money to push certain ideology. We would never compromise our integrity like that. Not that there's anything wrong with content creators taking sponsorships, and that's not what we're saying here. People need to make a living.
Yeah.
But taking money to push a political agenda, no matter what side you're on, is not telling people the truth about where that money is coming from and what you actually believe and what you have actually investigated to be true.
Yeah. And let's be clear, these content creators who took that money from Chorus aren't even going to be pushing truly progressive ideas that will substantially help marginalized people in the US or even around the world.
No, the Democratic Party definitely wants to maintain the status quo, and that is the problem. They're not pushing for radical change to the system. Look how they treated AOC, and she is only Democratic Socialist.
Yeah, and what's also crazy is that in response to Taylor Lorenz breaking this story, political content creators left of center have now begun infighting, with some attacking Taylor for breaking the story in the first place and harassing her online.
And if you don't think that's a distraction, I don't know what to tell you. Instead of paying attention to the very real issue, she said, which is dark money in political content creation, they're distracting people and causing pointless online wars. It's what they want. Also, I take a hard look at some of those creators who are causing this. Not accusing anyone, we legally have to say that, but maybe think about who they might be getting money from.
Yeah, that is such a good point. And yeah, this infighting is ridiculous. It doesn't actually help anyone. If anything, it helps the right to have the left fighting each other over stuff like this. Pointless conflict like this prevents actual progress.
Correct. And something to keep in mind is that the government has vested interest in keeping people from unifying. They don't want the common people to unify because that means we'd realize we have power and we could prevent them from maintaining the capitalist, racist, patriarchal system we currently have that's causing everything to be so screwed up.
You're so right.
If the system keeps getting to run as it is without any real change, the people in power get to stay on top. That is what they want.
And to that end, there are multiple examples throughout history of the FBI and the CIA working to break up unifying community organizing on the left because it posed a threat to the system. Perhaps the most famous of these examples is COINTELPRO, which is an abbreviation of Counterintelligence Program, and it was run by the FBI.
COINTELPRO is a well-documented series of secret projects. This is not a conspiracy theory, this is a fact. What the FBI was trying to do was to, quote, expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, and otherwise neutralize. And this is a direct quote from their documents, by the way, that we took from, that we will be posting. A number of progressive social movements, from the fight for Black rights, feminist movements, and anti-war movements, to the United Farm Workers, environmental groups, and animal rights groups.
And the FBI wasn't even above murder to accomplish their goals. It has been proven that the FBI coordinated the murder of Black Panther activist Fred Hampton, who was working to create a rainbow coalition of marginalized groups to fight for their rights as a collective. The FBI worked with the Chicago police to kill him and to stop his unification of the people.
And COINTELPRO isn't the only example. There are countless other projects from the FBI and the CIA. Project Resistance and Project Merrimack were an effort by the CIA to disrupt organizing on college campuses and to infiltrate peace groups. Again, these are not conspiracy theories, these are just documented projects. And we also saw that happening with the organizing with Gaza, the support for Gaza. I mean, they are still doing this.
Yeah. They did it with Black Lives Matter in 2020. They did it with the Free Palestine protests. I wouldn't be surprised if they're also doing it with the anti-ICE protests currently.
Absolutely. And so it's just something to keep in mind that, we're linking this to.
And linking back to our original topic, the CIA has a proven track record of using the media to disseminate propaganda. Reporter Carl Bernstein exposed the CIA's collaboration with American news media in an article published in Rolling Stone in 1977.
Now, we do have to say this for legal. We're not alleging that the CIA or the FBI are the ones funding the dark money schemes that are funding these content creations. Just putting that out there. We're just noticing that the CIA, the FBI, the two political parties, basically all parts of the government, work to uphold the current system. They all benefit from it. So, it's in their best interest to push out messaging that upholds that very system.
Absolutely. And speaking of the two political parties, that brings us to our next topic, the failure of the two-party system.
It's impossible to capture all of the ideals on the left or the right into one political party. Democrats do not represent everyone on the left, and Republicans do not represent everyone on the right.
For example, I know we've talked about this. We wouldn't call ourselves Democrats, even though we're on the left, because Democrats are a lot more conservative than we are.
Absolutely. No, and so the people commenting in our comment sections being like, oh, they're Democrats, Have you even listened to us?
Yeah, we actually, don't hold the same ideology as
We're
the
not
Democratic
government
Party.
shills.
Yeah, no, that's not us. So if you're going to comment something, be accurate.
Correct. Now, it's not like third parties haven't tried to gain traction. Perhaps the most well-known is the Green Party, whose candidates are actually removed from the ballots, and the Supreme Court allows this.
Crazy.
The fact that third parties can barely make it into office is very, very telling. If you're not a government shill, like we said, you won't get advanced in the race with the current system. And that's how it's designed to be.
The way our election process is set up makes it really difficult for candidates that aren't supported by the Democratic or Republican establishment to gain any traction, which is really unfortunate because that means that often candidates with actually progressive ideas are pushed to the margins in favor of candidates that align with the establishment.
However, that doesn't mean nothing can be done. A simple change in the way we vote could help push back against the rigid system. Ranked choice voting allows for more diversity in options and thus more diversity in ideals and parties. And ranked choice voting allows voters more agency and choice while voting than the traditional method.
If you're not familiar with ranked choice voting, it's when instead of picking just one candidate on your ballot, you rank all of the candidates in order of your preference. So your favorite candidate would be at the top and your least favorite candidate at the bottom.
Yes, and we saw that with New York. New York implemented ranked choice voting for its recent primaries with Zohran Mamdani. He was a candidate a lot of people part of the establishment discredited because they thought his ideas were too radical and was selected as the Democratic candidate for mayor. What were his radical ideas, you say?
Tell me.
That regular New Yorkers should be able to afford to live in their own city and not be pushed out by the wealthy. His also very radical idea was free public transportation.
Ooh, spooky.
Things like that. And now he's the Democratic candidate for mayor.
And we love that for him.
Yes.
Ranked choice voting is a wonderful alternative. And speaking of elections, for our listeners in California, remember that we have a special election coming up in November.
Yes, remember to register to vote. If you're not already, you can register online at registertovote.ca.gov. And we'll include the link on our website, handballcourtradio.com. We'll also include links on there to articles and sources if anyone wants to learn more about the FBI and the CIA's interference in organizing. And to wrap things up, we'll even have the link to Taylor Lorenz's article that kicked off this whole episode. One last thing before we go. Remember to vote!
That's about it for this episode. We hope it was thought-provoking.
As always, you can check out our website, handballcourtradio.com. You can also follow us on Blue Sky at Handball Court Radio. You can also follow me there at Sarah Livings-Walsh.
I'm there as Not Like Mona Lisa. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss our content. And don't forget to rate, review, and follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And with that, I'm Sarah Livings-Walsh.
I'm Analisa Venolia.
And this has been Revolution Report.